I do not remember a day that was this cold in Jersey for the past couple of years. It's literally 5 degrees out right now, and with the wind chill, it feels like it's negative 12. It is freezing outside. I'm in my S3. I haven't started it this morning. Let's see what happens. It's on fully 85, so hopefully the car starts, and hopefully it doesn't drive all weird. So let's start it up and see what happens. So the car actually started a lot better than I thought it would, and like I said, it is freezing outside right now here in Jersey. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But we're going to be talking today about something very important that a lot of you guys have been asking me, and I think it's good to go over, at least in my experience, about everything that's gone on with this car, and that is reliability. A lot of you guys, and I appreciate it, have DM'd me, asked me in comments on how the car has been, and I am just about 60,000 miles on the car now, so I thought it was the perfect time to make a video, being that this car has 60,000 miles, and a lot of you guys are kind of afraid to possibly upgrade your car, go hybrid setup, that you think this is a lot of miles when in like a realistic setting it really isn't that many miles for this platform, and for any car in that matter. 60,000 miles is just a baby realistically. But you guys have asked me a lot about reliability and what to look for, and my experiences with this car being that I do drive this car a little harder because it's not my daily, it's a weekend car. I've taken it to the track multiple times, and I've been on a hybrid setup with a bunch of different mods for the past couple of months, and I've been driving this car a lot recently, a lot. So I'm going to show and explain to you guys my full experiences with the car. So hopefully you enjoy. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Let's get right into it. So one of the most important things, guys, is reliability when it comes to your cars. Now, since a lot of people that watch my videos sees the extensive mods that I've done and multiple track days, back road driving, a lot of pulls, just having fun with my car, truthfully, I've never had one issue whatsoever when it came to the car. Car's never broken down on me, car's never left me stranded. I've had no major issues at all. The only thing that I've done with this car is proper and regular maintenance and making sure that I take care of any little thing possible, so that again, it's called preventative maintenance for a reason. You do things to avoid having trouble with your car in a more extensive way and a more costly way, because the longer you let things delay, the worse things get, the more money that's going to come out of your pocket when you have to repair it. By proper maintenance, the only things that I'm really referring to are changing my spark plugs when I need to and changing the oil in closer intervals than normal. Typically, the way I drive my car, I change my oil around every 3,000 miles. And I know that's very excessive, and typically you could go 5,000 to 7,000 miles with no problems, especially with the quality oils that they sell nowadays and how good these engines are in most cars. I like to do it because I want the peace of mind. I don't think it's necessary to run the oil that long by possibly having an issue when the oil starts to break down the more you push your car. I think it's just a better peace of mind for myself to spend $50 to $60 every 3,000 miles than possibly, I don't know, having a weird mental lapsus, not changing it frequent enough, maybe letting it go too long, and then something happens. So that's my first recommendation, guys, is change your oil in a normal, more frequent setting when your car is tuned, when you're pushing your car a lot more, when you're doing more track days, a lot of highway pulls, if you're doing some races in Mexico. Make sure that you are changing your oil at a more frequent pace. That will help not have any issues at all, and that's why it's called preventative maintenance, because you're preventing something from possibly happening to your car while driving it in the future. Spark plugs is a big one. The reason why spark plugs is so huge, because when people tune their car, they don't change their spark plugs frequently enough. That's number one. And number two, sometimes they don't use the proper spark plugs that their tuner recommends. So depending who you get tuned by, depending on the mods that you do, it's best to contact your tuner, send them an email, give them a call, and ask them what they recommend spark plug interval wise and what plugs they recommend and the proper gap to set them to. Every tuner is going to be different. There could be tuners out there that'll recommend the same plug, same same gap and everything like that. For example, I'm tuned by EQT. I have a Vortex XL hybrid turbo with MPI, low pressure fuel pump, every mod that you could think of on this car besides building the engine. And basically EQT recommends the Denso 5750 plugs for a hybrid setup, and they're gapped to 24 thousandths. That's what they recommend for the cars to run perfectly 100%. Now, the good thing with the 5750 spark plugs, because they're not a projected tip plug, you don't really have to gap them out of the box. Typically, a non-projected plug is good to just throw in. I've had zero issues when it came to tuning on 93 and E85 with these plugs. I didn't even touch the gap out of the box. If you're using a different kind of plug, it is possible that you might have to gap them. But again, consult with your tuner before doing so, because then you could cause an issue if you do the wrong thing. So you're changing your plugs and you're changing your engine oil at a reasonable interval to avoid issues. Now, with these cars, there are a few more things that you need to look over before continuing to rip on your car all the time and have a good enjoying session when you're behind the wheel. And that's going to be, number one, Haldeck Services. Number two, DSG Services if you have a DSG car. Haldeck Service, basically you have a Haldex pump that controls your all-wheel drive system in your Audi S3, your Volkswagen Golf R. If you have a Golf Sport Wagon with the all-wheel drive system, the 4Motion, that's another car that's going to have it as well. You need to service your Haldex system at a reasonable pace if you are driving the car a lot harder. If you're launching the car a lot, typical interval, if I'm not mistaken, is between 30 and 40,000 miles to do it. If you are driving your car very hard all the time like I do, I've been religiously doing this once a year, and to be honest, I haven't put that many miles on my car every year. I bought this car with 43,000 miles. I'm at about 60,000 miles now. That's about 17,000 miles. I've already done 2 Haldeck services on this car. So let's say every 8,500 miles I've been doing one. Why? Because I want to make sure that this car is performing at its optimal level and things don't break. If you're not driving your car hard every single time, or you want to be a little more risky, yeah, do it every 20,000 miles, half of the interval life, and the same thing with the DSG service on your cars. It is super important that you do a DSG service on your cars if you're launching it all the time, if you're driving really hard, if you're really high in the RPMs all the time and having a good time. You need to service your car in a more frequent manner. By doing all these things, you should have a very reliable and stout car. Knock on wood, I have not had any issues again, at all. I have not had this car break down on me once. I have not had this car do anything weird. I have not had this car perform at, not its optimal level possible. This car has been nothing but flawless. And to be honest, this car owes me nothing now. If something were to happen, if something were to break, I kind of deserve it at this point, because this car has seen a lot of abuse by me, and this car has held it every single time I put my foot down, and it never has one hiccup. So those are the couple of things that you want to look for, is changing your engine oil, using the right spark plugs, and servicing them at the right intervals, and changing out your Haldex fluids, doing a service on that with your DSG if you have one. And for you manual guys, obviously, if you want to push more power in these cars, you need to get an upgraded clutch. That's also expensive. So anytime you want to play around with your cars, that's why they say you have to pay to play, because it's true. If you want your cars performing at non-stock levels the way that some of us do, you gotta pay to play. Now, is this fully gonna prevent stuff from not happening? Not at all. Obviously, things can still happen to your car, even if you maintenance it as perfect as possible. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Number one, are you the first owner of the car? Are you the second owner? You don't know how the previous owner of the car maintained it. That's why it's very important when you're buying a car that you look at the service history on it. Luckily, I am the second owner of my Audi S3. The original owner only had the car serviced at Audi its entire life before I purchased it a little over 2 years ago. Every service was done, DSG, Haldex. This guy had a huge list of recorded services at the Audi dealer that he used to take it to in Connecticut. This is a Connecticut car. He used to have his car serviced solely at Audi. So I was very trusting in purchasing this car. And lo and behold, more than 2 years later and a lot of abuse later, this car has been nothing but a fun time without any issues. Why? Because the car was serviced properly since it was bought from the original owner. Now, does that mean that things aren't going to happen? No. Again, even if you service the car properly and you have a good service history, stuff can happen. Another thing to take into consideration is the mileage of your car. If you have higher mileage, you're 100-something thousand miles or more, things start to wear down. So there is that thought in mind that something can happen still, even if you are taking care of the car 100%. Now, Obviously, if you maintain the car a lot better than a typical person, things most likely will not happen to your car as long as you're taking care of it every single time and driving it the way it's supposed to be driven. As in, if you're tuned, you're not lugging the engine in. You're not lugging the engine around in a high gear, low RPM, where it causes so much torque that you could literally like blow a rod. You can do a lot of different things that are going to cause damage to your engine. So if you had to ask me about reliability of this platform, the reliability is something that you're not going to want to worry about. Just do the proper maintenance when you're supposed to. Take care of your car, and the car's going to take care of you. I have a mid 500 wheel horsepower car, hopefully, which is what I'm thinking, and this car's been nothing but fun. It's been stage 2 E30 for 2 years before I went down this rabbit hole of going even more power with a hybrid setup, and I've had nothing but an amazing time with this car. Dozens of passes at the track, no issues, tons of launches, a lot of highway pulls, and this car is held together perfectly. I think you guys can have that same success with your cars as long as you maintain them properly and listen to the things that I'm just recommending for you. Again, a lot of things when doing all this to your car is just my recommendation. Obviously, other people could comment and other people are going to say, oh, it's excessive. I'd rather be excessive than to have an issue happen. I'd rather spend a little bit of money now than having to put another engine in this car, than having to put another transmission in this car, to having to put a whole new Haldex pump and everything in this car because something went wrong. I'd rather spend the money on the little services that this car needs a little more frequently because I'm driving the car harder than having an even bigger extensive problem by not doing the services. And that's just my recommendation on these cars. And to be honest, I've had no issues. I've driven this car a lot. I've been honestly almost dailying this car every single day, even in the bad weather, just because how addicted I am to how amazing this car feels and how amazing this car's been driving. I've literally been addicted to this car. So I've been driving it like as much as I can, even in this horrible weather. Like I said before, it's like 5-6 degrees out right now. It's in the negatives for wind chill, and I'm still driving this car out. There's some ice, there's salt. I just want to enjoy my car. I want to spend as much time as possible with this car behind the wheel because it's just been nothing but an amazing time. And the way I can enjoy this car every time worry-free is by properly maintaining my car every step of the way, and that's what I recommend you guys do. Guys, that's going to conclude the video. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said before, I've had nothing but a good time driving this car. I've had no issues whatsoever, and it's been a very fun time building and driving this car. And the key to keeping this car reliable and safe is to just maintain the car properly. That's literally all it is. Just do things when you're supposed to. Do it a little bit more frequently, and the car's going to reward you with a headache-free, easy time. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be the case for everybody because every car comes with its own variables. Every car is a little bit different, and every car is going to react to different mods and different things in obviously different ways. But in my experience, maintaining my car more frequently and just treating the car well and doing what I need to do, the car has been nothing but a blast for the past 2 years. And at 60,000 miles, this car has honestly done me amazing, and I have no complaints. But if you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comment section down below. And again, anything that you guys need to know or any of the parts that I use is down in the description of the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.